everybody. Welcome back to Member Series Monday and episodes where you have the opportunity to meet our members beyond the floating floor. And today I'm excited that I am sitting here with our amazing member, Tina, over here. Welcome, Tina.
Thank you.
Tina was our very, very first member. For those who don't know, Burn Bootcamp Prosper opened on June 1st of 2020. And Tina was our very first member to sign an 18-month membership agreement. I remember she was sitting on a floating floor. She was signing. She asked no questions. And you just jumped right in.
Yeah.
And you have now been with us for 4.5 years, because that's how long we've been open.
Yep.
Walk me through your Burn Prosper journey, like from where you started. Like, walk me how you always tell us how it's impacted, changed your life. Tell me how.
Yeah. I think, as a mom of 3, I found it was super challenging to find time for myself. And especially because we moved here right before COVID happened. So we were in a new state, COVID happened, we were isolated. So I found it struggle to try to even make connections. I have huge social anxiety, which doesn't come through. A lot of people don't know that because they seem to see me talking a lot and be comfortable. But this was one of those things where I was scared to death and took a leap. I think I saw one of the home workouts that they were doing with Kat when you had Kat way back in when. And I was like, well, that looks like it could be easy. And I remember taking the first step and coming in the door and being absolutely terrified. But everybody was also in that journey together. We all started and it was brand new. And some people had been to the like parking lot workouts and most of us hadn't. And it was just a great atmosphere. I just remember the trainers being super welcoming and just it didn't feel awkward at all, which is super weird for me because to come into something new and not know a single soul in there, and just make connections in it. 4.5 years later, I've every year had a little thing of my own, 250 last year. The weights become my thing. I think I've been known to be the heavy pusher. Upper body's my thing. It just feels very empowering and it's brought me out of my shell. All the health benefits have been great in there too. It's not about just losing the weight. It's about building this muscle and building in my head a better image of myself and giving myself time to, the grace, because I'm super hard on myself. I come in and if I don't do something or if I don't get something, I'm really frustrated and I can leave this place frustrated. Even recently, you've made these connections, but like when people recognize you're not here and go, hey, are you okay? That's a huge thing. Because I do, we struggle and we have our ups and downs. And I think a lot of people don't see that outside of here.
Yeah.
And even, lately, I haven't been here as often. I miss it because I have struggled mentally and those kind of things there too. So it's not all about you'll be here every day and it'll be great every single day. There will be days that are just more challenging. There's weeks and months that are more challenging, but I would not put this place like this is a part of who I am and been a part of my journey and my, becoming a mom and becoming a woman and a wife and a friend and outside of just the gym, just outside of being a mom or just outside of my work. This is a piece of me, a part of me. So,
okay. I wasn't planning on crying, but that was not on the agenda today. But no, I love it. I remember, how you were there. We opened in the middle of the pandemic. Remember those squares?
I miss my square. I still stand in my spot.
We're not gonna. Elizabeth said this in the last night. I'm like, I'm having anxiety talking about this, so we're not gonna talk about that. But I will say, I remember we were in the middle of a pandemic, and then I think as pandemic was ending, right, there was still the little threat or whatever it's called about, fear of, there was a article or things that came out that said, hey, the gyms may have to shut down again. And I remember you guys came up to me and were like, Deepa, what do we need to do to not close this gym down? Yeah. And that was like only opening 5 months into our opening. And I was like, what? I'm like, I didn't realize the impact of this community. And I didn't realize how much I needed it myself either. And that was really cool. And you were one of the people, like, do I need to go to the city? Like, do we need to go stand outside the city? Do we need to protest? Like, we're not closing the gym down. I remember everybody was so mad. I'm like, y'all, I don't plan on closing the gym down.
No.
But that was really cool to say. You were part of that. I want to go back. You mentioned something about social anxiety, right? I think there is a little misunderstanding about that. I think, and I will quickly speak about people. I talk to everybody and anybody, but I don't think anybody knows that I still have to walk in and take a deep breath unless it's like my team.
Yeah.
I'm really easy, but it's still a struggle for me who owns a gym of these many members. And I can talk to anybody, but it takes a lot of work for me to do that. It does. And people don't know that. And I'm an outgoing person, right? For somebody like you, you're not. I know that about you because I've been able to get to know you over the years, right? Also, the way we used to high five before at Burn has now changed. Now we're like, hey, all up in your face. We weren't before because it was like social distance high fiving. So talk to me about social anxiety. Like when you say that, that's a real thing. A lot of people go through that. How has Burn kind of helped you with that aspect of it?
I feel like, first and foremost, like you said, it's a community on there. The people that come here are people that are in their own journeys and they're super supportive. And then you throw on top of that your team. Like we all love the trainers. We all love the staff, everybody in here. Outside of this, I mean, people follow each other on Facebook and we have little groups and stuff, but it's terrifying to walk into somewhere not knowing. Even when I come in on a day that's not my normal, I'm a 5 a.m.er, everybody knows that. But if I come in on like a 9:30 or 10:30 or the other classes, it's still like you said, you got to take the deep breath. But every class I've been to, as different as all the people are, nobody has ever made me feel bad. Nobody's never felt awful. There's no making fun of anybody. Everybody will still high five even if they don't know each other.
Right.
And I think that helps you kind of go, it's not so bad in other places, right? Because I think we think the worst of the world out there, but there are moms in here, there are dads in here, there are people in here that they really want to see us succeed, everybody succeed. It's given me a different look about how we're all challenged in here.
Yeah.
And then we can go out there and kind of impact out there too, right?
Yeah.
I make a point of saying hi to people that I don't know more than I'm like awkwardly be. But it's taken away that fear of being rejected or somebody looking at me crazy or judging me. I don't feel any judgment when I come in here. I have not had anybody other than being like, high five, that was awesome. Look what you just did, right? Yeah. I don't feel that way about the world as much. So it helps me, especially because my children, they pick up on those things. They know I have anxiety. They know that I have those things. And so they're quick to be like, Mom, who's that? Who's this? People see people everywhere in this community. So
I love that.
Even going and working out in like Austin and San Antonio when I have to go for work, I found a Burn sister with my Burn shirts because I wear them out in public. So
I love that.
It's a good sense of like belonging when you feel like you don't belong.
Yeah, I love that. I call it join the movement. That's kind of join the hype, join the movement, right? So before we got on air, we talked about the Prosper Salina moms, how there's people posting, hey, can you recommend me a gym?
The second
and then
they do,
and it's and it's amazing. It's a great feeling. And I think that's when I look and I'm like, it's join the hype, join the movement. And our mission here is to build that confidence. I think you trying to get over that social anxiety is you building confidence in the gym, right? Which is really what it comes down to. I will never forget two things. I listen to the Burn Bootcamp podcast a lot, and I listen to Devin talk about it. One of the things in his recent podcast, I don't know if you listen, he talked about that if you're feeling out of place or if you're having a bad day, there's two things that you should do. One is go work out. Right?
Yeah.
And then one is go help other people. And that will always stick by me. And I had not a bad day, several bad days. Obviously, Burn is part of my life.
Yeah.
But then I was like, and like we're all helping here eat each other, right? You mentioned your kids. Yeah. They know you have anxiety.
They do. Yeah.
Mine know. I do too. My kids, I didn't know my 9-year-old knew what an anxiety was. I don't know where he learned, probably from me. Speak on that a little bit. How does that affect your day-to-day life with your kids? And this conversation comes up quite a bit when I talk to moms.
Oh, yeah.
Because let's be honest, we all have it.
We do. I think the older that I've gotten, the more it's come out. Yeah. My daughter was just listening when she shouldn't be listening, right? They never listen when you want them to.
Correct.
She was listening to me talk about it with my husband the other day because I get to a point where I get super anxious and then I kind of have to like take a time out for myself, right? I need to breathe. I need a moment of just quiet to center myself.
Right.
And she's like, asking me about it. She's like, well, does that mean I'm going to get it? And I'm like, no, it's not a sickness. It's not a disease. It's not hereditary. I was like, Mom's been through some things in my life and I'm coping. And it just means I see the world differently and I adjust differently than Some people do.
Sure.
And I said, it doesn't mean anything bad. It just means, again, I see things differently. But, you know, our kids, I'm super honest with them about that. I've got 11 and a 9-year-old going on 20, each of them. And they do recognize that. And it's really sweet to see that they are actually more compassionate to that, where they're like, Mom, are you okay? Do you need something? You know, do you need a minute? Right? They recognize it, and it's not in a bad way. There's such a stigma about people having anxiety, and being able to show my kids that I might have anxiety, but they've been here for every burn game that I've been into. They've been in here for a lot of the events.
With the posters.
With the posters, and they're super proud. And, you know, we have the calendar up on the refrigerator, so they know when I color in all the dates and stuff. So they know that's part of it, and they can see how much different I am, right? I still have it. It'll always be there. But they recognize it, and it's almost, instead of being what a bad and terrible thing that is and how awful it is, they're very much like, oh, you know, it's just different, and it's something that you can do, you know, and you can manage, and it's not a bad thing. And if they see another kid with anxiety, they kind of are aware of like, oh, well, how can I support them? I think that's helpful.
Yeah. I think we're always afraid to talk about that with our kids. Like I didn't know for the longest time how to address it. I still don't know, but you know, I think it's mental health is such an important conversation to have with your kids, because we didn't have it growing up, right?
No,
like our parents didn't know. And I can't even, sometimes I want to sit here and blame my mom, but I'm like, she didn't know any better. Nobody taught her, you know, what all that is. So I think that's so big, and all of these things kind of take part in that. Athlete games, you've done 3, 4?
3.
3.
I didn't come for the super hot one with all the others.
Super hot one. That's how you remember.
That's how I remember.
Super hot one with all the other teams. You were not wrong about that.
We
We're going to do it again.
Yeah.
We're going to do it again in April. It's always in April for MDA. You know, we always do that.
Yeah.
Athlete games is not an easy thing to do.
No.
Walk me through, like, I mean, I remember the lunges. I have that video, Tina, and I will forever, no, oh my gosh, don't. It makes my day. Literally, it's like, those are the moments that I want to continue doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's the video like that. And I will never forget that. Your lunges on that floating floor that I'm looking at right now, coming from the pull-up rig to here. And it was the last 6 lunges. Last 6 lunges. I've never seen anything more beautiful in my life.
Appreciate that. That was a tough one.
I really haven't. And to all my Burn Bootcamp Prosper members, if you have not been doing athlete games or are afraid of doing this, you should look at Tina's video. I post it every year before we do athlete games, and I use that for my marketing, as in like in a good way.
Yeah.
What was going on through your head on that? Because you were crying. Your kids walked up there.
It was a battle. It not just a physical one on there, because it's hard to do. It was a battle of wills with myself. And, you know, they tell you that when you're working out, it really is. It's not about like, could I push any further, or can I do? It's pushing yourself beyond what you think you can do. Because that all in my head, I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And then you realize, like, you go, my kids are watching. I got to do this. I got to do this. And it was so, still to this day, again, traumatizing. Anytime we do lunges, I'm like, oh, I remember that. But you felt so good when you walked out, because not that everybody had to cheer for me, but the atmosphere is amazing. It pushes you that last little bit when you really are about to give up on yourself. And that day I was ready to just like call it quits on the floor, and everybody was there just cheering you on. And that's how it is in every game. There's always a moment that somebody's having a struggle, and everybody jumps in, and they just are right there, even if you don't know the person. And it was one of those days where I really just wanted to give up, but I had so many people right there. I had my kids, I had my husband, I had our team, I had everybody here. And that's how this gym is all the time.
Yeah.
And it just was amazing. Kind of sort of like, I'm super embarrassed that I cried in front of a bunch of people.
Oh my
but
gosh,
at the end of
no.
it, I was like, you feel powerful. Like I finished it. And that was my goal, is to finish.
Yeah. And
You
that's hard.
Super hard.
It's till today, I'm sure, walking through those doors, like finishing I know it's only 45 minutes, but it was hard to finish today for me. Today was hard.
I haven't even been today.
So
I
today
can't really
it's a good one.
say,
It's a partner workout. It was hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is sometimes you come in and the days are harder. For a while, there was a whole year where I couldn't convince myself to do cardio because I was like, I suck at this. I'm awful at this. And then I did it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not the best that I want to be, but I come in and you do it and you feel good when you walk out. It's the days I don't work out like today that you feel like, oh man, I don't feel as like energized. I don't feel as pumped. I feel like I'm missing something when I don't come in and work out.
Right.
And I never thought I'd be that person ever to say that like the workout is what I need. That I'll get up every morning at 4:30 and drag myself to the gym. I never ever was that person. I never thought I would say that. And it's not about coming in here and going, well, I got to look like this or I got to look like that. It literally is just like, hey, what can I do today? What can I get through and help me? Because I have a very high stress job and this just kind of takes off some of that pressure. It lets me get that energy out. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, you could have asked me 10 years ago if I was a gym rat or what they want to call it. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. But I still am not. Everybody knows I'm not a fan of cardio, but I will do it and you get in here and you get so mad that, you have somebody in your face going like, you could do it. And I'm like, no, I can't. And then you walk out, I'm like, you know what? I totally could. I don't know what I was, in that moment. It's really hard and you struggle, but I've never walked out of here and been like, I really wish I didn't do that.
Yeah.
I always am like, yeah.
Feel good after.
I've never felt bad walking out of here, except for when I hurt myself.
Well, that's we're not
That's the one that you
were
talked about. Yeah.
Oh, that was I have lived that moment.
But it was
yeah.
fine. It's totally fine. Back in there. I've come in here and worked out with a broken finger before.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
It's that you love it that much when it's a part of it. And I understand it's not for everybody. I've had plenty of friends in my neighborhood that have checked it out and been like, nope, just not for me. And they've come in and worked out. And I've had some that have stayed and they come at other times. And it's just, it's not for everybody, but it's something to try and see if that's something. Yeah. And give it a good try. Not just like, hey, I did one workout and I don't really care for it. There's so many different things that come with it beyond just, oh, I got a good workout in, or I did some weights, or I pushed, or I did jumping jacks and whatever. It's beyond that for, I think, a lot of us that have been around as long as we have. This is part of us.
Yeah. And you guys have seen all the changes that we've gone through.
Many.
And you know the ins and outs. You've seen the good of me and you've seen not the good of me. A lot of you have.
Growing pains for everything.
All of it, right? And I think it's really cool.
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's still something that, people ask you, would you ever? No, I don't. I've been other places. I've tried other things. This is me. This is for me. So
I love it.
I'm a lifer.
A lifer. We love lifers. Well, I appreciate you so much. Thank you. I know this wasn't the easiest for you to do, but I appreciate your time and thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Burn Prosper, I hope you get the opportunity to get to know Tina a little bit more beyond this floating floor. If you want to meet her, come at 5 a.m. She's here. I will not be here at 5 o'clock, except for Mondays. But thank you, Tina, again. And as always, we start together, we end together. 2 claps on 2. 1, 2.